Hey folks, Jake from Casty for Me here. This is a preview of a bonus episode from our Patreon feed, Paid Costly for Me. If you like this and you want to hear more, you can head on over to patreon.com/podcastyforme, where for $5 a month, you can get a new bonus episode every other week. That's patreon.com/podcastyforme. Enjoy! You know, we talk about statistics a lot on this show. We talk about a lot of this show and a lot of our way of understanding and trying to better understand the world has to do with challenging accepted wisdom and looking at measuring how things actually are as opposed to how everyone agrees they are.
Like when we talk about things like crime, for example, this perception that the world is dangerous and getting more dangerous when that is often demonstrably not the case.
And I was thinking, you know who kind of invented sabermetrics?
Who's that?
Karl Marx.
Materialism,
historical materialism is like...
That's a pretty good argument, yeah.
Is basically, don't actually trust these weird old guys who say they have a magic understanding of how the world works.
Yeah, or even, in Capital, exactly, sort of saying, well, how often are we going to say that the monetary crises are accidents and until we say, you know what, this might be a feature of capitalism.
Right. And then the book Moneyball, The Art of Winning an Unfair Game by Michael Lewis, who is a finance journalist, a Vanity Fair guy, also author of The Blind Side and The Big Short.
Yes.
So give you a sense of the kind of movies that get made out of this guy's books that are often sort of oversimplifying big ideas and or racist. But he specifically tries to kind of tie an underdog story to the slow application of sabermetrics or adoption of sabermetrics by Major League Baseball to the story of the 2002 Oakland Athletics, where general manager Billy Beane and a guy named Paul DePodesta, who was his assistant, and also a guy named J.P. Ricciardi, who is elided from the final film. They try to sort of go all in on sabermetrics in order to rethink how to replace three major players who got who left the team and take on the big, deep-pocketed teams like the Yankees. So the Yankees at this time have about 4 times the budget of the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah. I think, credit to the book itself, which I was able to get through most of, although not all.
Oh, yeah?
It is trying to recognize the wider environment in which this is happening. First of all, recognizing that Bill James's ideas have been around and they sort of softly applied in certain circumstances. So I think that's within reasonable artistic license for a film to try to dramatize it as a single inflection point when really it was a slow adoption, with maybe this being still the critical season that popularized this idea.
Right.
He also talks a lot more about the financial inequalities of Major League Baseball. And I'm going to talk about Billy Beane going in front of this blue ribbon panel that had former chair of the Federal Reserve, Paul Volcker, on it, where they were trying to address fundamental problems that seem to be sabotaging the game.
Volker's come up on the show before.
He certainly has. Yeah.
I believe because he was in the context of Any Which Way You Can, because he was at the fucking Jackson Hole Economic Forum.
That's, exactly his time, Volcker shock in the beginning of the 80s to sort of combat inflation by basically causing a recession on purpose.
Cool guy.
Yeah, also it kind of had a dramatic effect on Latin America secondarily. But
yeah, I meant by cool guy, I mean he deserved a sort of Volcker shock to his entire body until it stopped moving.
Yeah, although in this case, the Blue Ribbon panel reports that they came out with did effectively say baseball is kind of broken by the economic inequality here, and technically I think his panel was supposed to be a assessment of the collective bargaining agreement. And what they came out and said was you need to be harvesting something 50% of revenue at each park and creating a pool that then all teams are drawing out of. These are the recommendations. Basically recognizing that if you're having a sport, like you're saying, where the income of certain players and the salaries of certain teams are so much higher. It's becomes impossible for it to be competitive. And
right. I mean,
no, go ahead.
What we are seeing here, is that was supposed to be Dreyfus from Jaws. I don't know what's going on with me.
It's okay.
What we're seeing here is like guys 15% acknowledging the contradictions of capitalism and how like none of this is sustainable and it can't work.
Well,
but then just trying to figure out how to, like, as with many capitalist guys, like, well, how do I just become the fucker overer instead of the guy getting fucked over?
yeah, I'm going to dump an early observation for me, which is that the classic battle that's represented of the binary is sort of like romantic old school baseball, love of small ball, love of these things that fans love to watch, right? Like stealing bases and sort of like strategic play.
The entertainment of it.
Right. And these like individual heroes who save teams versus this cold sabermetrics approach where unglamorous, kind of boring to watch decisions win games. It's all kind of a fantasy because baseball before sabermetrics and baseball after sabermetrics, a huge part of the game is just decided by owners trying to make money off of their franchise. I mean, that is
right.
It's the thing that defines baseball decisions in terms of who they're buying, where they move, what the experience is like for fans before and after sabermetrics. So it's all kind of silly to say, baseball used to be this like mythological, in the style of epics, desire for like the heightening of the human spirit. And now it's this, totally unhuman or inhuman and cruel approach to just like trying to maximize efficiency. Because it's always been about efficiency, but for profit of the owners, effectively.
Right. Well, this is sort of the contradiction in the problem with professional sports generally, and like the thing you run into when, for example, I have had a series of very friendly and lighthearted conversations with my famous podcast girlfriend's father about how the Olympics are really bad.
Sure.
And bringing them to Los Angeles will immiserate a lot of people, waste a lot of money. It did that before.
Yep.
It's going to do it again in 2028 unless we kick them out. It's also an excuse to empower law enforcement. I mean, that's part of the immiseration.
Displacing the homeless populations, all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the special security event status or whatever the thing?
Yep.
And this is, for example, the kind of thing where we would apply statistics and say, like, look at all these people who are hurt by this. Look at the expenditure on
where does the money go for these infrastructure projects?
Yes.
Yep.
And then compare that, but then he would come back and say, but like, it's a time for all the nations of the world to come together and to demonstrate the inspiring capacity of human beings, and it's so fun to watch. It's this globally like uniting event where everyone's talking about the thing that happened with the cool Turkish guy shooting the gun, or like
and I would argue that he's correct in the fact that those things exist, but
same with as that we see in the finished film, these fucking moments of like the guy not realizing he hit a home run is like some of the best kind of shit. Or when Scott Hatterberg hits the game-winning home run and everyone piles on him, it rules. It's great. That's why sports movies are so popular.
Yeah, but
that, I think, I suspect we'll both argue, does not have to come with raising of a bunch of people's homes to build a stadium that is paid for by the taxpayer and generates like mostly turns like a thriving downtown into parking lots for a big bowl of people that is used like once a week.
Right. Right.
To say nothing of, it's just further enriching a guy who also owns a bunch of housing developments and like Lowe's or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know it maybe sounded like I was being like a reductive socialist analyst and saying, oh, it's all about the money for these guys. But truly, I mean, if I would assume I don't have to explain this to baseball fans probably, but the people who own these teams, like right now, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I spent the last couple of days reading
That's
about
softball.
Yeah,
You choose baseball as softball.
That's true. You're so right.
Yeah. Small ball fans, they like baseball. Actually, well, some of them like golf.
Yeah. Well, what about kickball? How's it figure into all this?
That's even bigger.
Yeah.
Want to hear the rest of the episode? Go to patreon.com/podcasty for me and sign up for just $5 a month. We're sorry we do this.